to work and he turned it on for me, so it was great.
Yeah, them on and off switches
I
ain't
know.
working to you.
I was like, apparently I have no, I just thought I would tell this story, so.
It's 10 o'clock. We'll call Sawyer County Administrative Committee meeting to order. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Ron Kinsley.
Here.
Ron Buckholz.
Here.
Marshall Savitsky.
Here.
John Righeimer.
Here.
Stacy Hessel.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is certification compliance open meeting laws.
This meeting was noticed to the media and public as required by Section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Number 6, the meeting agenda. The agenda is set. Number 7, public comment. Ms. Silmer.
Linda Silver, Edgewater property owner. Public comment today addresses two things. One is the role of the county administrator. I hope that before you go out and start research, the county board has a discussion as a whole as to what the role of the county administrator is beyond the state statutes, how that role has been relied on, and that division of knowledge and involvement without taking away authority. But the full county board, I think, needs to be more active participants. One of the areas that I think is a recent example is the hazard mitigation plan, where a county administrator who has more experience in county government, who understands how all the departments and outside agencies in the towns all have to work together, that would be a helpful qualification to require for candidates. As you all are aware, that one of my focuses has long been zoning, and there were some zoning inconsistencies and conflicts that started a problem probably back in 2022, and this has been ongoing. The county has had the opportunity to amend their ordinances and straighten things out for almost 4 years now, and I think probably with more involvement from a county administrator working with the department and keeping things moving forward, it would not have drawn out as long as it has. Right now, the county has adopted a solar ordinance that conflicts with state statutes. It has inconsistencies and it has huge gaps in it. And I don't know, I think before, who knows, maybe there's already an application in, but I think it was a huge mistake to not extend the moratorium to give the county more time. The towns all work together. They originally came to the county with issues about the timing and the coordination between the county and towns on zoning matters. And here, this month is a good example. The public also has an opportunity for input at the town levels. The towns mostly meet the first 2 weeks of the month, with the exception of Meadowbrook. But for example, the BOA hearing is on 8/18. The agenda and packet of information was only posted to the county website after 4 o'clock yesterday. And the zoning committee that meets on 8/21, that agenda and packet was only posted to the county website after 4 o'clock. And with regard to understanding zoning and being more involved, both as county board members and as county administrator, training is critical. There are 2 agenda items on this county zoning committee for non-metallic mining conditional use permit and a reclamation plan. I don't know why they're on there. Even if the county board does not agree with the denial of the rezone, those 2 matters should not be heard because the county board does not have the ability to override the zoning committee. They would have to send the matter back to the zoning committee. There's this, and I do want to clarify something I overheard earlier. That, I believe the MDD ad hoc committee met 7 times. What they requested at their last meeting was after there was legal review, they wanted to have an opportunity to hear the legal review before the matter or the recommendations went to the zoning committee. There was miscommunication in whether or not the legal review, which Because they also have concerns that, number one, that last meeting that finalized things, there have never been minutes, and what was sent for legal review, members also feel do not represent the actions that they took. So I think before the county even considers rewriting the zoning ordinance or going any further, please work on addressing the inconsistencies. I think you have solutions provided. You just need somebody to help champion the process to move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody online? Number 8, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was July 9th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second, unless
Go
you,
ahead.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Righeimer, second by Ms. Hessel to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Shianya? Okay, number 9, review District 15 supervisor position, discussion and possible action. This came about as we know the District 15 supervisor is not showing up to the committee meetings or the board meetings. I thought that by bringing it to this committee, we could just remove them, but I guess there's more to it than that. So Rebecca will bring us up to speed.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is well. Yes, to Chairman Kinsley's point, there is a statutory process that is in place for the official removal of a board member. Now, I understand that Supervisor Minto has made public statements that, it's reasonable to conclude he is or has intended to resign from the board. But unfortunately, it wouldn't be appropriate for the county to rely just on those public statements. Ideally, Mr. Minto would submit a letter of resignation, officially resigning his seat. But it's my understanding that that has not happened despite several attempts by county officials to contact Supervisor Minto. So if those attempts to contact him and, get an official, statement as to what his intent is, and you're at a logjam, then the next step would be, I recommend that you send some sort of certified mailing to Supervisor Minto, setting forth the circumstances, and then also setting forth the intended next steps should he not respond, which would be moving forward with the process of removal. And so, again, that is a very significant undertaking within Chapter 59, as it should be, because a county board supervisor is an elected position, and we certainly don't want a legislative body to easily remove one of those elected officials. So in light of Mr. Minto's not properly communicating his intent to resign, if that is not happening, then I would advise the county move forward with that process. And so what does that process look like? It involves a hearing. It involves a determination of cause. Now, in this situation is somewhat different because the cause would be, a stated public intent of resignation. So those are unique circumstances. So I truly hope that, if a Supervisor Minto is not communicating with the county, that, sending a certified letter to him, notifying him of the circumstances and the intent to move forward with a removal proceeding will be enough to prompt that resignation, so the county doesn't have to go through those formal proceedings.
Yes.
So when we were doing the policy, it said that if you missed 3 meetings, the police could show up and bring you in. Can't we just do that and then have him bring a letter?
So you could, yes, because the board policies do set forth, obviously, the policies of the board. And so you could follow those policies. The question becomes whether those actions would result in a legal removal of him as a supervisor. And I would say no. For that formal removal, you have to follow the statutory process because the board rules can't supersede the statute.
Thank you.
But yes, if the county wanted to proceed under the board rules for immediate next steps, and if those haven't been exhausted yet, certainly those are options for the board.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I know, Rebecca, that Mr. Kinsley, myself, Liz, the clerk, have reached out to Mr. Minto. I did get one confirmation. He did call me back, or I called him and he did answer his phone, which I was in shock, but he gave me a big sob story, which, okay. But I told him that he needed to reach out to the county board chair or the county clerk and tell him what his intent was to continue as the District 15 supervisor. Well, apparently he did not do that. I left another message for him to get back to me and he does not respond. And I believe it's just to the fact that he no longer wants that position. I just don't think he knows how to go about doing a resignation other than what he gave to the paper. So.
Okay. And that certainly sounds plausible. So then I would advise, again, we as Supervisor Hessel said, you may look to remedies in the board rules, but for that official removal, you start the process under the statutes. And again, if the county were to send him notice of intent to proceed with removal procedures, you could include in that notice a resignation letter that all he would have to do is sign and send back. So, to assist him in accomplishing his goal of intent to resign, we can help him through that process while still maintaining the integrity of those actions. That it would not be construed as some sort of forced removal of an elected official. Very, very difficult situation. That this is one that may appear to have a very easy solution. We just replace him, but we have to follow the statutory protections that are in place. So again, the available remedies for the committee, and there's the implementation of the remedies in the board rules, Supervisor Hessel alluded to, and then to receive a formal resignation if Supervisor Minto has not done that yet for whatever reason. The county can assist in that process, which would look like a notification of commencement of formal proceedings and including a letter of resignation for his review that he can send back. And maybe it's even a blending of options where you have someone serve that letter on him. Someone accompanies that service, such as, Mr. Kinsley or Mr. Buckles, and explains the situation and, explains what needs to happen under the statutes if indeed he wants to resign. And again, try to have a meeting of the middle ground to make it as seamless as possible for the county to reach that goal of efficient government and having someone, who's representing that district, but then also not impinging upon his rights as that elected official.
So that would be just doing the certified letter, having it delivered with the resignation included would be the least time consuming and the least cost.
I think so. As we were talking, I was pulling up the board rules to, look back at that remedy, Supervisor Hessel, that you suggested. And I do, even though that is an available remedy under the board rules, I do think that the certified letter would be more expeditious in the immediate future. Because even though that remedy is in the board rules, once we employ or utilize law enforcement, we have a different set of legal issues.
Sure.
So I would recommend the certified letter. And again, a very respectful explanation of this is the county's understanding of what his intent is. We want to make this as seamless as possible. So here's, a letter of resignation for your review. Of course, give him that opportunity to review and ask questions. But if it is, as Supervisor Buckholz indicated, if it's simply a matter of Supervisor Minto is not sure of the proper steps in that resignation process, the county can help him with that.
So at this time, I would
What?
make, oh, sorry.
I just have a quick question. So send a certified letter, resignation letter, he's just got to sign. I'm assuming we put a self-addressed stamp on there. He would still have to mail it, right? Or deliver it?
He would, yes.
I would predict he probably wouldn't do that. So then what? Ron, you
Then-
go over there and pick it up from him, or?
I would, because I'm only 15 minutes from his house, so I would be willing to do that. And I told Mr. Minto when I did talk to him that if he had any questions with anything about the county board and his District 15 supervisor's position, to either contact me, Mr. Kinsley, or Liz, the clerk. So we throw that out there for him, whether he's just ignoring it, I don't know. But I would be willing to do, on my part, to do whatever we have to do to get some representation down there for that district.
Yeah, and I think, in the logistics of getting that letter to Mr. or Supervisor Minto, whether it be certified mail or whether it be even a process server, perhaps Supervisor Buckholz accompanies that process server to Mr. Minto's house and then can explain what this is. Again, if there's concerns that Supervisor Minto wouldn't have an opportunity to respond, that's an option. We just want to make sure that, there is a balance of no perceived intimidation. And I'm sure that that's not the county board's intent, this committee's intent, or any supervisor's intent. But again, in looking at the situation, if we have Supervisor Buckholz, go with that process server, we just want to make sure that it is, that we're following all the right steps. So from my standpoint, I'm trying to come up with as many solutions as possible to rectify, the lack of representation in that district, but while also balancing, the rights of Supervisor Minto as an elected official, and just making sure that the county follows the right process. But again, I understand, the need and the desire to get through this situation so there is representation for that district.
I'll make a motion to either use certified mail or a processor, whichever the county chair sees fit, just to move this forward. So I would make that motion to move it forward with a letter as recommended by our legal.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Righeimer to move forward with a letter to get it to him one way or another, whether it be Mr. Buckles take it to him or go with certified mail, to get him to sign it and return it.
Yeah, I think you have to use a processor to make it legal.
Mr. Buckles?
Just one other for discussion. Also, if Mr. Minto does have county property he has a county iPad. So if his intentions were to be done with it, we would also need to pick that up.
Otherwise, it'd be theft if he resigns and doesn't turn it in. So then that's a legal issue, but do we add in upon resignation that you turn over all equipment? Yeah,
Yes.
I would assume so. Thank you.
Yep. Yep, we will make sure that all of the necessary steps for effective resignation, like turning over property, notice that his communications during his term as supervisor, those are all still subject to public records law. So he has to maintain all of those records that are in his possession for the time of service. That's another important element of resignation. So all of those will be set forth in that communication to him.
Thank you. Any other questions for Rebecca? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We done with Rebecca or we need her yet? Okay. Number 10, appointments, discussion, and possible action. County Board Supervisors Committee appointments. It's been asked that Ms. Hessel be removed from Economic Development and put on the zoning committee.
Am I being asked to be removed or just relocated? 'Cause I would like that clarified. Please clarify so it doesn't look like economic development does not want her.
That come from the chair, remember over there.
Also, maybe I should leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Potentially, there's been a person talked to that would replace District 15. That person said they're good with it, whatever position they're put in, whatever committees they're put on.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Ms. Hessel to leave Economic Development and be added to a full voting member on the Sawyer County Zoning Committee.
So we have a motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Geimer to transfer Ms. Hessel over to zoning committee. Any other discussion?
May I ask a quick question, Mr. Chairman? Does that, with that conveyance of Supervisor Hessel to the zoning committee, is that also imply removal of an existing zoning committee member? Because if so, I think that your motion should reflect that to ensure that suddenly the zoning committee doesn't have more members than permitted by the ordinances.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. I was thinking about that after I made that motion, so I'm gonna change my motion or rescind my motion to Ms. Hessel be a full-time voting member on the Sawyer County Zoning Committee and will be replacing Supervisor Minto when that takes place. I'm hoping she can get on right away, so. I like my first motion better. Yeah.
All of that discussion is included in your record, Mr. Buckholz. So just to clarify, the motion, and we're awaiting that approval by the second, is to remove Supervisor Minto from the zoning committee, reappoint Supervisor Hessel into Supervisor Minto's spot on the zoning committee. And so technically at this point in time, Supervisor Minto is appointed to economic development. And then pending the process of his resignation, those positions will be reappointed if necessary on economic development.
So is Mento now the vice chair of Sawyer County Economic Development? I think so.
No, you'd have to be elected.
Oh, we have to go through a whole, he
You would
can't
have
just,
to be elected for that. But I have.
I'll nominate him.
I have a question for Rebecca before we move forward. With our board rules, is it that the chair can remove, with the approval of the board, remove someone from a committee. A committee, not the board. So I have the right to remove District 15 from the zoning committee and economic development or wherever else he's at. I looked it up. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, I believe so. I'm checking that right now, which if that is accurate, and I think this is where you're going with it, is you would simply remove Mr.
From the
Minto,
committees.
and then, make that switch. The goal being, or if the goal is to ensure that Supervisor Hessel is a full member of the zoning committee, we just have to make sure that someone is removed. And it's not necessary to take that person and put them automatically into the position that Supervisor Hessel is vacating. So we can worry about that process outside of this process. And again, just if the goal is to ensure that Supervisor Hessel is in that chair or in that role of zoning committee member, we just have to make sure somebody is removed. Doesn't need to be a full
It's just it's just a redesignation of committee, correct?
Right.
Just like we did this last, okay.
Yeah, for Supervisor Hessel, but then also a removal of someone from the zoning committee, so the zoning committee doesn't have too many members.
And that was in my motion.
I'm sure I heard it there somewhere.
Yeah, that was in my motion.
No, it wasn't. Your motion was just to remove Stacy from econ and move her to zoning. But what Rebecca is saying is the motion should be amended to remove Supervisor Minto from the zoning committee and then remove Stacy Hessel from econ and appoint her to the zoning committee. Those
Yeah,
three
but that was
things.
in my second motion, I put that in there, that she would be replacing Mr. Minow. We would-
Oh, yeah, you said the word replace. I think the key is remove.
All right, remove, whatever. So,
And then you just need a second for that. And we'll classify that as an amendment to the original motion. And then just ensure that the seconder of that is in agreement.
Second.
Sorry to put the rest of you guys through all this. Liz, please read that back to us.
We have a motion by Mr. Buckholz to remove Supervisor Minto from the zoning committee and to remove Supervisor Hessel from the Economic Development and UW Extension Committee and appoint her to the zoning committee. Second by John Regheimer.
Are we good with that?
sounds good to me.
All right, that's the motion. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Letter B, medical examiner appointment, recommendation. Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Lillard and I did interviews. We had 2 applicants for this position. We interviewed almost a month ago now. And we are recommending Rion Geen to the medical examiner position. She comes with a lot of experience as a deputy, I believe since 2018, deputy medical examiner. So she has the experience that we were looking for, and that is our recommendation.
Wishes of the committee.
I make a motion to approve the medical examiner appointment recommendation of Rayon Jean, Heen.
Mr. Buckles.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
So we have a motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Buckles to appoint. How long of a term is it?
That doesn't have a term, it's indefinite.
It's a paid position, it's not
Okay.
an elected official position.
All right, for indefinite. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 11, public comment policy review. All right, it's been brought to our attention that some of the board members would like to look at the public comment policy and see if we want to make any changes to it. We've reached out to Rebecca and asked for some opinion on how to handle some of it. And Rebecca, you want to go review that a little bit?
Rebecca, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. So based on my understanding of the intent, it would require an amendment to the board policies and procedures, as I call them, the board rules. Because it is the board rules that set forth the framework for public comment at meetings. Let me start off by saying that this does not apply to public hearings. Restrictions on commentary and public participation at public hearings, legal public hearings, is completely separate. Those cannot change because those are statutory requirements. So what is being referred to is the public comment that occurs at the beginning of a board meeting or the beginning of a committee meeting or within the context of a committee meeting if comments are allowed by the chair throughout that meeting. Again, does not apply to public hearings. And so keep in mind that it is not legally required that the county allow any public comment, not public hearings, public comment at any of its meetings. Some counties don't. Some counties very much restrict who may submit public comment. One of those is a residency requirement. And so right now, the current board rules do not have that limitation of residency requirement on those able to render public comments. And so again, if, the goal being to restrict those to submit public comments, if it's limited to Sawyer County residents, we have to change the board rules. So what I was tasked with is development of what those revisions would need to look like. And so I have undertaken that process. And it, this is another one. I like to make things difficult, I guess. But when we are changing board rules, it's not always as easy as just striking and replacing words, particularly when we have potential implications or potential arguments of due process or other constitutional amendment protections. I will say we looked at those in detail, and those are not at issue. There is no constitutional right to participate in public comment as the county currently has it structured in the board rules. So what that means is the county is able to amend the board rules to restrict to Sawyer County residents only ability to speak. So what I have developed is an amendment to your board rules. And you do not have that in front of you for several reasons. But one of the reasons being, I thought it was appropriate to have your discussion first, and then before that, that actual, the text document is presented, I can then make any tweaks to it. So I'm happy to go into that, the details of that resolution, but the fundamental change is that the board rules are being amended to restrict public comment, not at public hearings, to Sawyer County residents.
Rebecca, that public comment policy would also go into effect with the committees, right?
Yes, that's a very good point. That the board rule amendment would include a revision to one of the sections relating to committees. And then also included in that amendment would be a statement that this rule applies to all committees. So if there's any committee bylaws that are in conflict with this board rule, the board rule supersedes. So that is effectively an amendment of any conflicting committee rules.
Make a motion to alter the board rules to include or add requirement of residency for public comment.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Ehrhammer, second by Ms. Hessel to regulate the public comment to Sawyer County residents only. Do you have a comment?
No, I just think that it's been a long time coming. We needed to do this. So.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, may I just make one more
Yes.
quick comment? One other change you will see, I think that needs to be made is I think one provision regarding amendment of the board rules was inadvertently deleted in a prior revision. So within this amendment, you will also see the re-adding of that. It's Rule 10. So what I will do in light of the motion on the floor is circulate the draft for consideration, which again will be consistent with my understanding of the intent of the committee. And then that may be considered and I believe presented to the board at your next board meeting, should you desire to do so. That is certainly up to your discretion as to whether you want to move this to the county board or if you would prefer additional discussion at a committee level. But the fact that the committee has had the discussion today and you will have the text of the amendment prior to the board, this may proceed to the board after this committee.
That was my question, making sure it was on next Thursday's meeting.
Yeah, it would have to
Okay.
go on next week's board. So when you're approving it here, you're also passing it on to the full board.
Rebecca, Rule 10 is really short. Can you just read that to them? And then they can add that to this so that we don't miss something in the motion.
You bet. Let me pull that text up. I had it up. Thank you for your patience. That's not it. What the heck? It is Rule 10, Amendment of Rules, unless otherwise provided by law. These rules, board rules, may be amended by a majority vote of those members entitled to vote. So we're just reinserting what was Rule 10 before, which again, I believe was inadvertently deleted in a prior revision.
Does
Do you want me
Mr. Ringheimer have to add that as an amended motion?
Yeah, may as well, since we're specifically talking about that item.
What she said, add it to the motion, please.
I'll second that.
You're seconding what she said.
And again, what you will receive and what will be distributed prior to the board meeting with the agenda is all of the text. So your discussion again is appropriate enough direction for me to memorialize this in that those specific amendments to the board rules. And then again, for presentation next week to the board. But you, of course, will see the exact amendments prior to the board meeting, and those will be publicly posted.
Thank you.
We need a,
We had a vote yet.
we need a vote.
Right. I'm telling Rebecca. Thank you.
Oh,
All right, so we have the motion. Are we ready to vote? All in favor of the motion?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and again, it goes to the full county board Thursday. Thank you. Number 12,
Thank you.
county clerk report. Ms. Klein. Thank you, Rebecca.
Good morning. We've been real busy with dog licenses. Chaz Olson was able to send out emails to everyone who failed to get their dog license, and they were in the late period. So since the time of this report, there were 21 at this time, and then probably another 20 between us and Chaz came in. So the goal of these licenses is to make sure dogs are vaccinated for rabies and that those vaccine lots can be tracked for public health reasons. So that's our goal, not to get late fees, but the goal is to make sure the dogs are accounted for in the county. So that's been really successful. We're going to continue to try to reach out and contact people in the coming year. Chaz's department's going to handle that, but we're going to help and support that. Busy marriage season. We love the new arrangement with the office being closed like that and the people sitting down. So again, thanks to everyone. IT helped us, maintenance, that was really great, and that's working well. For the election, it also was great because when the clerks brought their returns back, they had appointments this time. They sat down at a table, everything was laid out. It was a much better process. So that's really a good improvement. Plat books are selling. We have 80 or some, maybe 88 left from the original order. We're being asked already to decide if we want to order the 2028 edition. So we're trying to do the math on how many are sitting in inventory and then getting new ones in. Everyone wants the new ones. So that's something we're working on right now. The election went great. All the clerks did a really good job. I was on standby to help them with their West vote questions, and everything went great so far. So that's really good news. I went to a district meeting with the Northwest counties, and that was really helpful too. It's really interesting to see how all the counties are so different. So you really can't compare how we do something to Washburn County or to any other counties, because each county by the Constitution is uniquely created, and that reflects their constituents and what their issues are. So some of them are farming communities versus where we have forestry. You know, it's really interesting to learn about that. And otherwise, I just worked with Randy a little bit on my budget. My budget's submitted. We don't have any new developments in our budget, other than we will have less election revenue because I'm not doing those contracts with the towns, and they're doing their own work. Otherwise, everything is the same, just regular postage and publication increases, and the cost of elections. Next year will be less because there are fewer elections. So that's my report. Do you guys have questions?
Yes.
Liz, on the plat books, what is the newest one we've got? 2025?
2025, yeah.
So the next new one would be 2028.
28, but they would start preparing it in 27 because they have to do all the work ahead. But what we're finding is the public comes in, they want a new one every time, you know, so
Yeah.
they start to get kind of stale after 2 years. And there's a company that's not our vendor that is sending out mailings saying that they have the current plat book. Annually, they send that out, yeah. So then people come and they want that one, and we don't sell that one. So, it's just something to think about. If the county could order fewer and be more current with them, that's one way to go. I don't know what the cost benefit is of that. We'll have to look per issue. I think if you have a bulk order, you save money. So they're always trying to get us to order this huge amount, but then you have some sitting around. Now, we did sell all the previous editions before the 25 came, so something we should look at. They're popular, people want them.
Yeah, because I know I like to get the new one every time it comes out, because they change often, the lands and stuff, so, thank you, Liz.
There's not a digital format?
Huh?
There's not a digital format?
Letter B, 2027 budget request. I'm just checking on you, make sure you're paying attention. 13, Veteran Service Office, Mr. Elliott.
Hi, good morning. So on my report, I changed the format, which took me down a different trail. We're always looking to see how we can improve, or what, maybe what other counties are doing that we could leverage to become better, or what they're doing, what their impact is. And so I did a little searching on other county websites, and and so I'm going to take a side trip here. What I found was minimal information for meetings, minimal information for what was being reported. And as far as the meeting minutes go, I couldn't tell you what happened in some of these meetings. I highly encourage you to go take a look and take a look at some of the other counties' notes in different meetings and compare it to what Sawyer County's doing. Honest to God, it's night and day. As a resident of another county, I couldn't tell you what's going on and what my representatives are doing or what stand they took, for different issues that come up. So anyway, hats off to you and quite honestly, Liz, for the notes that she takes. You'll see a difference. And again, I encourage you to go take a look. But with that being said, so here's the format. We changed it up. Liz suggested, she said, and she's right, you couldn't really compare and contrast what we're trying to do here for the last year versus this year and the current month. So we've got them where you can look up and down pretty easily there and see the difference in the workload. So for July, we had 524 phone calls, 1,163 letters, and 204 office visits, with 191 of them being walk-ins. In 2025, we did not track the walk-ins at that point. So the calls, you can see the workload increased a little bit as far as the paperwork goes. The disability compensation and pension claims for the end of July, we had 129 CMP claims with a retro payment of over $600,000. In 2025 July, we only had 256,000 in retro payment. As a matter of fact, at this point in time, at this snapshot, we've exceeded what we did for 2025 as far as initial payout. I don't have any other metrics that I can really talk about, and it's not even a metric. It's more of a game to improve the office. And that's how we look at it. What it does tell me though is our skills have improved. We've improved our trade craft, if you will, as far as having more successful claims and a more impact. So La Crosse Vet Center for last month, we hosted 5 individual and 3 group counseling sessions. For outreach, we continued with coffee and conversation. And I went to the LCO Honor the Earth powwow. I was actually given the highest honor a tribe can give a non-tribal member for assisting veterans. It was pretty cool. And I proved once again I cannot dance. So
He's being humble. He and Secretary Bond both got Quilts of Valor as well as the Honor of Civilians.
Yeah. Thank you. Our social media recap, again, it went up, it went down, it's maintained, and it's been successful as far as driving people back to the office with other questions or follow-up. And then we are planning right now with the LCO of Sawyer County La Coudray Oriole Veterans Fair for October 22nd for 4 hours from 10 to 2 p.m. at the LCO Convention Center. And right now, we've asked for about 40, lack of better words, vendors, organizations within the federal VA, the state VA, and nonprofit organizations that support veterans to come in. We've got a pretty good showing. I don't know if we're going to hit 40, but we're pretty close to that. So we're going to start advertising on WOJB. I got to reach out to the local radio station as well and try to get that out there as well as the paper to make sure the veterans know that we have this event for them and their families. As far as our training, it is up to date. And then lastly, the budget. The only increase has been stuff that we can't control, plus wage increases. So Other than that, everything else has remained zero increase for budget. So,
Thank you. You do a wonderful job down there. Is that parking lot done yet?
no, sir. No. All right.
I just want to share this letter because I know Gary won't do it. We got this letter and I sent it out to you, the supervisors, but it's thanking Gary and Nicole for a great job that they do over there. So this is just another example of the kind of work that Gary and Nicole do to help people and touch their lives in the area here.
You do a wonderful job. Number 14, Veterans Tribute Update.
Thank you. And keeping this project going, we did an RFP for the concrete work, and we had 3 respondents. There's a summary in front of you along with their complete proposals. My recommendation would be, what I did here is, you can see that there are some highlighted and then some other cells that are not highlighted. The highlighted are the ones that each of the 3 contractors put forward that was the same, so we can have an apples to apples look. If you look at that, Creative Concept, Concrete Concepts came in the lowest, and they actually did a couple alternates. They would put in the fountain base and 4 benches, and even adding those items, that they still come in a little bit lower than the second lowest, so that would be my recommendation to go with them.
So if you take the benches out, they're 50. If you put the benches in, they're 58.
Correct, yep.
And we want the benches, right? And we want the base. So that wasn't part of the bid, that was value added on their part?
Correct.
And minus that, we would have had to go out and find that elsewhere
We would have to do those items
separately. At some point, okay, that's
Yep.
understood.
The nice thing with this is it would all be a uniform look with the same company doing them all.
Are the benches poured concrete?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Somebody else steal all that.
Mr. Buckles?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Creative Concrete Concepts flat work bid for the Veterans Tribute.
I'll second.
The sum of 50,010.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Righeimer to approve.
Oh, wait, isn't that for the sum of 58? Because they're doing the benches?
Yes.
I'm looking at the comparison,
Okay.
that'd be the grand total.
Yep, thank you for noticing that. 5870. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Nice job. Keep it moving forward. Number 15, informational technology. Mr. Colson.
In July, we completed 53 requests from various departments. Alex and I have been heavily involved in the department moves to and from the Oasis building, and so that's going well. We got a few more to do to finish up here. We're working on a project with dispatch and ambulance. We're equipping the ambulances with modems and the computer-aided dispatch software, so they'll be able to see them on the map in real time, and it should be quite a bit better for tracking where the ambulances are located for the ambulance department and dispatch. So we hope to have that finished sometime next month. Other than that, I'll just give a highlight about the 2027 budget. On the good news side, that my operations budget is $6,000 less than last year, but there are several things I'd like to put in as capital improvements. Due to some recent events with neighboring counties that were hit with cyber attacks, we have to remain extremely vigilant and implement various levels of security. So one of the things I'm asking for 2027 is to increase that with the help of a vendor partner. And I communicate with Mike, I like to actually start to implement some of that this year, so I'll be working closely with administration on that to make sure all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed. Equipment fails, and that's why I also included a phone system on there. Our phone system is working great, and I would keep it running that way, but it runs out of support in about a year or so, so unfortunately we need to implement that. The vendor has promoted or proposed a way to cut the costs over 5 years, and that is by front-loading all of the costs. So I'm going to submit a request for about $160,000. But by doing so, we would save about $45,000. So that's the second item that would be in my CIP request. The third project is some permit automation, which would help the public to, and our departments like zoning and health and human services, to put more request application forms online to cut down on staff time. It would integrate credit card or e-check payment processing for things like land use permits, tourist rooming house, and other such things. So I've got several, those are the CIP requests. It would be about $230,000. So obviously this will be going through the normal budgeting process, but I just wanted to give that high-level overview at this time, and that's my report.
Thank you.
I have a question. Mike, have you researched any DOJ grants for those surveillance cameras, things like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep on top of them. I don't have any that I'm applying for right now. I'm working with Nicole Brzezinski because she usually sees those before I do. So we'll continue to monitor that and try to apply for anything that applies to us.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding what you said, refreshing my memory, I'm not sure all the committee members know that we're moving some of the places, some of the, like forestry down to the Oasis building. And we're bringing the ARDC back. No, we'll catch it then. Thank you, Mr. Colson. Ms. Lily Root, Human Resource Report.
Good morning. Yeah, my report, we've been busy hiring lots of people, and we still have a few openings. As far as my budget, there's no change. It's just the same. And other than that, if you have any questions.
Let's go to letter C.
Okay. Want me to go? So Administrator Markern is retiring, so the committee or the board in the whole needs to decide how you guys want to go ahead and replace him. Do we want to hire the firm that we hired before when we got Mike, or do we want to do an internal? We'll just do it.
So,
Do you need a motion?
yeah,
I make a motion to do it internally, not hire the firm we did last time.
I second internally.
so we have a motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Ringheimer to do the hiring internally and leave it at that. And Rose has a plan put together.
I have a plan. I'll hand out my plan.
She spent a lot of time on this because she keeps on telling me it's the final one.
I know.
So I'm sure that this is the final one.
It might be.
So we have that motion, but before you go further with voting on it, we also were talking, and that's probably what Rose is handing out, but there's some discussion about using the Wisconsin and Minnesota area as the field for the prospective candidates. So that is what's on here as the discussion and action. So make sure we get that from the agenda, please. Thank you.
Can I ask a question on the Minnesota? Is that in the plan, I guess we'll talk about next, or?
Well, it's kind of all together, yes. But we can, what you got, my friend?
Well, I think just on the surface, I think I like less is more. Is it necessary to open it up to, well, maybe that's because of the recruiting firm, but we had people from all over. It was an interesting process, but I don't know if it's necessary this time.
That's, Ms. Lily Root and I talked about, we should stay in northern Wisconsin, and then we stretched it out to Wisconsin. And she said, we gotta catch Minneapolis, so that's why we figured if we put in the state of Wisconsin and Minnesota, that would cover it. That's how we looked at it.
Minnesota, Wisconsin is what I said.
You're all about Minnesota.
No, I'm all about Wisconsin.
So, for what Ms. Klein was talking about, they approved the recruiting, we said we're gonna do a local, but let's follow what letter C says, and the minute letter C says we'll be looking from Wisconsin and Minnesota. So if I could have a motion for that, I'd appreciate that.
So do it internally and according to our HR director's strategy with Wisconsin and Minnesota.
I'll second it.
So motion by Mr. Righeimer, second by Mr. Buckles to follow letter C, approve the recruiting within Wisconsin and Minnesota. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else? So
No.
this will go to the full county board, so you know that this will be on the full county board for approval. Okay?
Thank you, Rose.
Do we get a finder's fee if we find somebody? Why? I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Rose spent a lot of time on that. Thank you for that, Rose. Appreciate it. All right, number 17, Sawyer County Administrator's Report. Mr. Markman.
Thank you. A couple things I'll highlight here. As I mentioned last month, I was working with the Economic Development Executive Director, Brian Priester, on submitting the Opportunity Zone application, and he did get that submitted before the deadline, so that's good. Neither one of us were here 10 years ago when the first one was submitted, and we don't really have data on how much it was utilized, but Brian's put a lot of research into this, and he thinks it could be a very, very good opportunity for our community. As I mentioned last month, the biggest thing is it can either put off or altogether eliminate capital gains tax on investments in rural communities like ours. So that's a very good opportunity for some people who want to bring something into Sawyer County. Under finance, the budget's coming together. Received preliminary numbers for net new construction, which was 1.607, which for the, I think, 5th year in a row is the highest that we have on record. So it's another good year. And that, the remarkable thing is it's that high on top of double-digit just appreciation every year. So we've got to overcome that to get to a 1.6 as well. We have the county valuation, I believe it was 13% increase. As Randy mentioned at finance, we're meeting with department heads, and the fun part now is for me is getting everything to fit together. Like, it never comes out just on paper. You've got to put some work in to make everything work and find ways to finance things and whatever, move things around. So this is where it gets fun for me. And, you know, it's early in the process, but it looks like we're going to be able to come together with a budget that is going to work. The one thing I'll mention, John's sitting here, but we have it's a federal project, correct? Federal highway project that we had to pay 20% on. This has been in the works since 2022. It's finally going to happen next year. Our 20% is about $862,000, and we can't perform the work. So if we didn't do that outside of our normal budget, our crew would be pretty limited with what they could do in the summer next year. So what I will be recommending is that we fully fund that along with our normal construction, which will actually get us further in catching up on our road construction and kind of the backlog we have. Not that we have a real backlog, since John's been here, and you know, he started soon after I did. We've actually done a pretty good job moving things forward, getting the roads up to speed where we want them to be, but this will help. So this will be a one-time thing. I actually have thought about, we have that LATCF money. I think Ms. Hessel mentioned that last month. To me, this would be a pretty good use for some of that money. It's a one-time revenue source. This is a one-time expense that matches well that way. So it could be a good way to knock out some of our construction projects. I went to the Johnson Bay groundbreaking last Friday. And I talked to the regional president, and he wanted to dispel one rumor. That's not an additional building in Hayward. That will replace what they have. So everybody's going to be moving over there. So that one will be for sale at some point, I would imagine. And then getting to what Mr. Kinsley mentioned earlier, about 2 months ago, Julia Lyons, who's the director of HHS, approached Rose and me about her desire to get ADRC back within HHS in the courthouse building. That also comes on the heels of Extension had requested more space of me, which I really couldn't do anything at the time. So this is kind of an opportunity to move things around. It's a musical departments with, including 5 departments really. So we've already begun the process. Extension, even in spite of the fair coming up, was able to get moved out to the Oasis building. That allows sanitation to move from within HHS over to where Extension is, still very close to HHS, very close to their testing stations and public health. Then that opens up offices within HHS combined with a couple that are open now to bring ADRC into HHS, which will allow forestry to move out to Oasis as the final move. And then having forestry opens enables us to, which we just approved today, the medical examiner to go into that area. So it's really an efficient use of space. When I was considering the move, I wanted whatever went out to Oasis to be places that didn't have a lot of foot traffic. You know, forestry, really, they just deal with the bidders coming in and checking on projects. And then also Extension doesn't have a ton of foot traffic. They usually go to the people. So it seemed like a good move that way. So that's just an update there.
So will this add space for the veterans service area, or will it take away space, or will it be neutral?
It should be neutral.
Okay.
Actually, it should reduce the shared conference room. I don't know how much ADRC used that, but that should be reduced.
Okay.
I just got one thing. I want to compliment Mr. Pino, our highway commissioner, on what a great job he's doing for Sawyer County and his availability to all the townships, and I use them as much as I can. John, I want to thank you for everything that you do for us.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I would agree with that.
Ditto, but the other question I was going to ask is if we could ever consider housing everything here at the courthouse and selling that prime location. That's, I mean, putting it back on the tax roll and then selling that prime spot might be more beneficial.
And that was
but-
the first thing I looked at.
Okay.
When the request was to get ADRC back, I got out the map of all the offices and tried to make it work, and it just, we couldn't quite do it.
Okay,
So that is something to always keep in the back of our mind. if
Okay.
There are some other changes.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
It was comical, because when he first thought of that, he told me he's gonna get rid of that building. I don't think I can't.
Well, I mean, that would be great to sell that at this rate.
Yes and no. Okay,
Once it's gone too, yeah.
board appointment committee updates, correspondence reports, conferences, future agenda items. Next meeting.
Go to the fair.
Yeah.
Go to the fair this weekend, buy a big hog. One thing that I'll just request is if we can keep the Veterans Tribute on the agenda.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you for your time. John, I got a question for you.